He's currently in talks to settle a $10 billion lawsuit. Pretty normal, right? Trump is always suing somebody or some entity for some exorbitant amount of money. Only this one's a little bit different because this lawsuit is against the IRS, his own IRS, the agency he oversees as president of the United States. So here's the backstory. A former IRS contractor named Charles Littlejohn leaked Trump's tax returns to media outlets back in 2019 and 2020. You might remember those returns revealed that Trump paid little to no federal income taxes in many of those years. Littlejohn pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. So yes, the leaker was caught, prosecuted, and punished. The system worked. But Trump decided that that wasn't enough. He decided $10 billion of your money wasn't enough to leave on the table. So his lawyers have argued that even though Littlejohn was technically a contractor, he acted as a joint employee of the IRS, and therefore the government is on the hook for his actions. And by government being on the hook, that means taxpayer funds, your money, my money, the same money that Republicans tell us on a daily basis we can't spend on housing or healthcare or veterans because we have to worry about the deficit. But here's where it goes from outrageous to just outright corrupt. Trump is negotiating this settlement with his own government. The Department of Justice lawyers who represent the IRS, they report to him. The IRS itself, part of the executive branch, which he runs. He is both the plaintiff and effectively the defendant. And even Trump himself has acknowledged how absurd all of this is. He literally said the words, "I'm supposed to work out a settlement with myself." In a Friday filing in Miami federal court, both sides asked the judge to pause the case for 90 days to, quote, avoid protracted litigation, which is another way of saying that they want to wrap this thing up quickly and quietly out of the public eye before anyone can really scrutinize it too hard. After all, why subject yourself to public litigation when you could just negotiate quietly with yourself and award yourself billions? Now, Senators Ron Wyden and Elizabeth Warren have made it explicit for proven harm not to confer $10 billion windfalls to a president seeking to line his own pockets at taxpayer expense. And Democratic lawmakers have now introduced a bill that would ban the president and the vice president and their families from collecting lawsuit settlement payments from the government altogether, which is apparently a thing that needs to be done now, thanks to a president whose battle cry upon taking office was that we have to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. A president who told us every dollar of government spending needs to be scrutinized. A president who created an entire department, DOGE, supposedly dedicated to stopping government waste. These are the people who slashed Medicaid and food stamps and education funding and cancer research, all in the name of fiscal responsibility. And now, everyone on the right is conspicuously silent as Trump pilfers the U.S. Treasury to line his pockets to the tune of billions. Something that, by the way, would have given these people a collective aneurysm if 1/100th of it was done at the hands of a Democrat. And rightfully so. But because it's Trump, they're fine with it. Because it was never about the money. It was always about whose money and whose pocket it ends up in. So when J.D. Vance says this...
Look, I think people don't have any idea how bad the corruption is in Washington, D.C.
Now you know exactly who he's talking about. You're watching the No Lie podcast. Next up are my interviews with Jared Moskowitz, Alex Wagner, and Rob Bonta. No Lie is brought to you by Helix. So I was a personal trainer for about a decade before I got into politics. And I would tell people every day how to be healthy, how to exercise, how to lift properly. But nothing was more important than rest. It's actually the time off that delivers the most results. And that starts with a good night's sleep. And that starts with a good mattress. So I have the Helix Midnight Elite. I'm getting uninterrupted 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night, which means I'm completely set up for the next day, as opposed to feeling exhausted before I've even hit the halfway point of my day. It is so comfortable and so soft. I went from tossing and turning for hours to just falling asleep basically in minutes. Your mattress really does make a huge difference. So why Helix? There's free shipping and seamless delivery. Helix delivers your mattress right to your door with free shipping in the US. There's the 120-night sleep trial and limited lifetime warranty. The Happy with Helix guarantee, which offers a risk-free customer-first experience designed to ensure that you're completely satisfied with your new mattress. And Helix is the most awarded mattress brand there is, tested and reviewed by experts like Forbes and Wired. Go to helixsleep.com/BTC for 20% off site-wide. That's helixsleep.com/BTC for 20% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/BTC. No Lie is brought to you by ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol. So let's face it, after a night with drinks, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. I have to make a choice. I can either have a great night or a great next day. That is, until I found pre-alcohol. So what is pre-alcohol? ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. So here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of that byproduct, not dehydration, that is to blame for rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Every time I have pre-alcohol before drinks, I notice a marked difference the next day. Even after a night out, I can confidently plan on being on camera and doing my work without worry, which, let's be honest, without pre-alcohol would not be possible. I age in dog years doing politics, and what I was capable of bouncing back from a couple years back is not possible today. So I first gave pre-alcohol a try back at Crooked Media's holiday party. I drank it before my first whiskey ginger, and you would not believe how on top of my game I felt the very next morning. So from the fairways in Augusta to the first pitch of baseball season and the start of festival circuits, April is a sprint of outdoor celebrations. Do not let a rough next day keep you on the sidelines. Drink pre-alcohol to stay ahead of the game and make the most of every sunny Saturday. Go to zbiotics.com/BTC to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use code BTC at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/BTC and use the code BTC at checkout for 15% off. I'm joined now by Congressman Jared Moskowitz. Congressman, thanks for joining me.
Hey, Brian, how's it going?
So we have an update here as it relates to Pam Bondi's scheduled deposition that was supposed to take place.
Tell me, what's the update?
Supposed to have taken place April 14th. Obviously, that date came and went like a fart in a hurricane. She didn't show up. So is Congress going to relinquish its desire to have her come and testify now that she's no longer AG?
Well, first, let me say, this was the scenario that many Democrats, myself included, were concerned about, which is, the Republicans threatening to hold the Clintons in contempt if they didn't show up. Would they hold that state standard if it were Pam Bondi or a Republican that was subpoenaed? And now we're finding out it's unclear if the same people that subpoena Pam Bondi are willing to hold her in contempt. To be clear, she has to show up. The subpoena has nothing to do with her being Attorney General. It's her. She has to go. And so, she didn't show up at the current date. They're renegotiating maybe for a second date. But if she does not show, if she's unwilling to come, then she needs to be held in contempt. The committee needs to hold her in contempt, and then Congress will need to hold her in contempt. That's how this needs to work. Or you know what? Congressional subpoenas no longer matter.